guys, it's Vishnu here. Welcome to yet another video on obstruction and striking powers. So I hope you're all doing good. So this is a continuation of the previous video where I showed you a couple of examples on the obstruction and striking powers of a particular piece. So in this video I'm going to cover 3 examples, and these are all short examples to make you understand how you can use obstruction and striking powers to your advantage when the position is cramped, or when there is any chances to overpower your opponent using this tactic. Now let's get directly into this position. You can see here that white is materially down a piece. He has got only 3 minor pieces, whereas black has got 4 minor pieces. And it's 6 versus 5 pawns and 2 rooks and a queen versus 2 rooks and a queen. There's a big hole in black's position. His king is very vulnerable. You can see that the bishop and the queen have taken over this diagonal, and also these light squares are weak. Especially the f7 square is weak, and the knight can hop in at any time to the f7 square. So it is indeed this weakness that white is going to exploit immediately, and is going to do that with a very nice move, queen g8 check. The idea is you can't capture the queen with your king because the bishop is defending it. So obviously you're forced to take it with your rook. And now if you simply checkmate with your knight. This is called as smothered mate. Smothered means mate by suffocation. There is no way. It is surrounded by its own pieces, the black king, and can't move anywhere. All you have to do is check the king and it's a mate. And of course only a knight can give a smothered mate. So this is a very simple example to make you understand how you can take advantage of open lines and diagonals if you have a bishop and a queen. So when you get such positions, normally you can create chances for yourself by opening lines and diagonals for your pieces, because your pieces will become very active if you have open lines and diagonals for pieces. I also spoke to you about mobility of pieces. So this is an example which proves the same thing once again. It becomes more active when you have a lot of squares to move in. Then your pieces become more active. Let's take a look at another example. I'll slightly modify this example. Okay. Now here I tweaked this puzzle a little bit. I removed the bishop and I kept the rook on e8. Earlier the rook was on f8. Now it is on e8. And there was a bishop on b3. I've removed that bishop. Now it's white's turn to move. Still you have the same tactic. Because of this weakness on f7 and this diagonal is dominated by white, you have to do is, it's mate in 4. If you have found it, it's great. It's knight to f7 check. It's a post mate. King to g8. Knight h6 check. If the king comes to f8, then queen f7 mate. So the king has to go to h8. But then you have a similar tactic which you used in the previous puzzle, queen to g8 check. You can't capture it with your king because it is protected by the knight. Knight is protecting the queen, so you can't capture with the king. It would be a check. That's illegal to do so. So you have to capture it with your rook. You are forced to capture with your rook. That is the only piece you can use to capture the queen. But if you do that, then it's the end. Knight f7 smothered. You can use this trick once in a while whenever you get an open diagonal. Beginners tend to make such mistakes and you can take advantage of it. Okay, this is another game. It's in the middle game. It's played between two. Chigoran is a famous player. I think it's played between two grandmasters, and White won this game. Now you can see. Take a look at White's person. It is true that White's king is also exposed, but there aren't any pieces attacking or immediately going to give an attack to the White's king, except for the Black Queen. Except for the Black Queen. Whereas, take a look at White's pieces. All are facing towards the center and ready to attack Black's camp. And you can see that Black's king is still stuck in the center. His queen side is completely undeveloped. The bishop and the rook are doing nothing. So whenever your king is stuck in the center, the trick is to open up the lines and diagonals, the files and diagonals. Expose the king so that you can give checkmate. So here, White does that wonderfully by starting with a rook sacrifice, by an exchange sacrifice. He takes the knight with his rook. Rook takes e5. D takes e5. Queen takes e5. Now the threat is queen to d4 check. If queen to d4 check is played, then bishop to d7. But then queen takes d7 and it's mate because it is supported by the knight over here. The knight is also supporting it, the queen, so it would be a mate. So White is actually threatening mate in 2. So Black plays bishop takes g4, giving space for the king to go to c8 in case there is a check on d4. But Black missed something crucial here. After queen to d4 check, king to c8 was played. Now comes a very wonderful move. Bishop to e6 check. Once again taking advantage of the open lines and diagonals and obstructions here. Now if you take with a pawn, you're obstructing the bishop's diagonal. So White can give a mate in 3. Queen takes c8, knight c8, knight d6, small third mate. It's called a smothered mate because the king is surrounded by its own pieces in all squares, and the enemy knight is giving a check, so it's a smothered mate. Smothered mate can only be given by a knight. Now, after bishop e6 check, Black would not prefer to take. If Black takes it with the bishop, then he has to give up his queen. Well, it's not completely winning for White, but the advantage is definitely with White. His position is superior. He's got a queen against a rook and a bishop, and I verified with the engine, and it's clearly White is superior in this position. It's not outrightly winning, but White is better. So in the game, what happened was bishop g4 was played, queen d4 check, king c8 was played, bishop e6, king b8 was played, and then now comes a move, knight to d7 check. King c8 was played. That's the only move. You can't move to any other square. Once again, knight c5 check. Discovered check. This is called as discovered check. Discovered check means you move one of your pieces, allowing other piece behind it to give a check towards your opponent. So in this case, the knight has moved from d7 to c5, opening the way for the bishop to give a check to the king. So it is a discovered check. Again, the king goes to b8. Now, once again, you're opening lines and diagonals by giving another check on knight a6 check. The king can't go to b8 because the bishop is guarding that square. So the only move is ba6 here. But if you do that, alas, it's your end because queen b4 is checkmate. That's what happened in the game too. White won this game by giving a checkmate on queen to b4. So let's go back once again. Rook e5, d e5, queen e5. So what's the best defense that black has got in this move? The best defense according to the engine is to play bishop to d7, but bishop e6 is also good. Bishop d6. If you play bishop e6, the game might have continued this way. Queen d4 check. You can either play your bishop to d5 or knight to d5, no matter what. Knight to d5 would be slightly better because you want to preserve your bishop in this position, because bishop is slightly better for black. So if you play knight d5 is a more appropriate move. Bishop takes d5, queen comes to g3 check. You block the check with your own bishop by bringing it back. Bishop to g2, queen d6, queen takes d6, c takes d6, knight takes e8, king takes e8. Now you can see the position is more or less equal. There are 5 pawns each, a bishop versus a bishop, a rook versus a rook. Materially it's equal. Position is also it's equal only. There are no threats for either sides. It's the end game. If you take bishop b7, then there is rook to b8, and once bishop will be under attack and the bishop moves, you can snatch this b2 pawn. So it is better not to snatch this because you're opening up lines for the rook, and also a2 and c2 would also be hanging. Once a rook comes on b2, it can threaten the c2 and a2 pawns. The bishop is also right now attacking this. Okay, so that's it about this. And let's go with bishop d5. What would have happened? If bishop d5 was played, then bishop takes d5. Against the same move, queen g3 check, bishop g2, queen d6, queen takes d6, c takes d6, knight e8, king e8. Now, having a bishop would have been better rather than a knight, because you have a light square bishop and it is also attacking the a2 pawn. The engine says having a bishop in this position is better than having a knight. And also, if you play bishop b7 now, the same move comes again rook b8, then rook b2 happens. So white is better in this position. The correct continuation is knight to d5 here, and it's more or less equal for both white and black. I hope you understood how to exploit when a position is cramped. Like in this game, you can see the position is cramped for black. There's no space to move. So you have to open up diagonals and files so that you have chances to give checks and give a checkmate to the king. By this time, you shouldn't hesitate to sacrifice your rook for a knight. I've already said that for beginners, they're afraid to give up a major piece for a minor piece. That fear should have been removed from your mind by now, because I gave us a lot of examples so that you can understand and why it is really in chess, position is really important rather than material. Like you can see in the previous example which I showed you, white was a minor piece down, a full piece down, but he exploited the a2 g8 diagonal with both his bishop and queen and could give us more third mate. So once again, material is secondary, it's all about the position. Okay guys, so that's it for today. I'll be giving you more examples on obstruction and stacking powers in the coming videos, and also covering new topics like cutting off the squares, how to control the mobility of other pieces on the board, so and so on. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And that's it guys, it's Vishnu signing off from Chess Simplicity. Thanks a lot, take care of yourself, bye bye.